off. Good day, everybody. My name is Dante White. I am a senior channel manager here at Ring Central. I appreciate your time today and joining us here for this presentation, an installment of Dante's information download. I want to make sure that everybody can hear me and also see the screen. You should see Dante's information download, time is money. So if anybody can just chime in the Q&A or the chat box and let me know that they can see and hear me, that would be great, just to double check, and then we'll get the show on the road. All right, perfect. Well, once again, thank you everybody for joining. I know it is time is money, right? And time is very precious, so you're taking time out of your busy schedule to join us on today's installment. As a reminder, my name is Dante White. I'm a senior channel manager here at Ring Central. I'm very excited to introduce a friend and a colleague of mine, Pierce Schubert. He is Vice President of Time Miner. Pierce, if you could say hello to the audience.
Hey, good morning, good afternoon, depending on where you are, everyone. And again, to echo Dante, thanks so much for joining us today and taking a second to look at Ring Central and Time Miners integration.
Awesome. And also, if you hear a third voice, we also do have a gentleman, Sean Martin, on the phone as well. He might be chiming in from time to time. He is an attorney, and so he knows very well how important this technology is, and also works with Time Miner as well. Looking at the table of contents itself, we are going to go through the state of the market, help everybody on the phone, not only partners, but also customers, understand the state of the market, why it's an important reason to evaluate UCaaS in general, what's going on in the culture of the world and technology as a whole. We'll look a little bit at integration benefits too as a whole as well, because there's a whole ecosystem out there. There's a lot of tools and resources that customers and partners use on a daily basis. We want to make sure that we address the reason why you'd be looking at something and why you'd want to look at a technology like a Ring Central, to make sure you understand the value that it brings and why you want to look at the cloud. We're going to go over some facts and figures that I found in doing research for this webinar. I want to make sure that everybody's educated and understands why time is money, and see exactly what the issue is here. And then we'll wrap it up by looking at Time Miner. We'll talk a little bit about them. We'll look at their demo and check it out. So once again, if anybody has any questions, you are muted. Drop your questions in the Q&A or the chat box. First and foremost, everybody's moving to the cloud. So, everybody's got some strong feelings on it, whether they like it or not. Gartner has stated that by 2021, more than 50% of global enterprises using cloud today will adopt an all-in cloud technology. So we're talking about bigger than UCaaS. We're talking about everything. CRM, obviously those are in the cloud. Office 365, other tools like Box, Dropbox, etc. Applications like Time Miner. It's just about replication and expediting what you do as a business. And also some cost savings too. There's a lot of great savings when migrating to the cloud. Furthermore, if you look at Gartner, if anybody's familiar with Gartner on the phone, they actually dropped looking at UC on-prem as of last year. So they're not even going to be evaluating on-prem technologies for unified communications. They're only specifically looking at the cloud. That's a strong indicator of the market and where it's going. As some of you know that follow me on LinkedIn, there's $70 billion today total addressable market, and only about 10% of enterprises are actually all in the cloud. So there's a huge ramp, and there's a lot of the customers that are on the line that are going to get value of this. The reason for why people are going to the cloud are many: mobile, multimodal, global, and always on. So if you think about yourself in the a day in the life of what you do as an organization, as a business person, a lot of what you do is probably mobile. You're on your cell phone, you might be at home, like that always on box there in the bottom. Multimodal, you might be on your cell, you might be on your laptop, you might be on a PC, you might be using an iPad. There's lots of different tools that you're using to communicate. There's also lots of different apps that you're using to communicate as well. We'll talk a little bit more about application overload. There's about 5 to 6 tools that every worker uses to communicate. And then lastly, global, right? So If you're a big organization, and even if you're not a big organization, the likelihood that you will go global at some point is going to be huge. It's just kind of the way things are going. And now more than ever, it's important to understand why cloud allows you to get there. As I alluded to in the previous slide, fragmented communications is a huge part of the workplace and app overload. I mentioned that workers are using an average of 5 to 6 different applications to do their business. And if you just think about yourself as an organization, right? Like you're using phone, you might be using WebEx to communicate, or RingCentral meetings, you're using a CRM possibly, or some other kind of business intelligence tool. There's a lot of different places that you and your employees need to reside. And as you move forward and as technology gets better and better, you're going to start seeing more and more integrations because it is business critical. Email is a very large portion of what people do to communicate. I know I email probably easily hundreds of emails a day, if not thousands on some other days. It's quite crazy to kind of keep up with everything. And TimeMiner not only allows you to track and bill for your RingCentral calls, texts, fax, but also email communications as well. As you can kind of see, there's some other mix in there: phone calls, social media posts, video conferencing calls, things like that. So it's important to understand exactly why you want to look at a UCaaS. It allows you to encompass all of those tools as an organization and be able to simplify things, right? And that's part of the reason why anyone's over looking at UCaaS. Another reason why organizations definitely need to start looking at the cloud and other types of different technologies is there's new generations and different work styles. I'm not ashamed to admit it. I'm a millennial. I know a lot of people don't like us very much, but we're trying the very best we can. By 2020, millennials will comprise 50% of the workforce. So by next year, we'll be more than half of the entire workforce. And when you look at that as an overall scope, we're used to being mobile. We're used to working from a mobile environment. We like to kind of work where we play, stuff like that. So businesses are going to need to adapt to do and to retain and attract talent. And the cloud is going to allow them to do that. Specifically, when you look at what RingCentral does, right? We unify communications by taking everything that a business would do and putting it on a single pane of glass. So this is a very real example of Box. Paul Chapman, CIO of Box, gave us this nice little blurb. RingCentral is enabling us to move away from such voice and conferencing apps as ShoreTel, Intercall, Uber Conference, Skype, Citrix, WebEx, and Link, as among many others. On the left, you can see they were using lots of different disparate tools. That means different contracts. That means different SLAs. That means different service models. It can get quite cumbersome just from a operational standpoint, but also, once again, going back to the workers and kind of that customer service element is, are people using the right tools at the right time? It can become very confusing. I know even myself, I was born in technology, so to speak. It's not always easy to remember where I was communicating with customers and how. So unlimited voice, text, fax from a single number. Also have collaboration. Glip is a tool that is free to the public, so you can download that and start using it. It's a great tool to chat, collaborate, work on documents together, set tasks, etc. Video meetings or webinars like we're using here today is also native to the solution. And then once again, going to the global aspect, we do have global coverage in over 80 countries, probably actually more than that, to be quite honest, probably closer to 100 nowadays. Analytics, not only what are workers doing, who's answering the calls, who's not, how many things are going to voicemail, who's available, but also looking at analytics from a reliability standpoint, having the ability to see what's going on with active calls. Are people using the mobile application? Are they using their desk phone? Are they using a soft phone? Why are they experiencing jitter and latency? You can see that it's an internet connection error, et cetera. So you can really start dialing in and making sure that your enterprise is ready and keeping your customers nice and happy. And then lastly, obviously, what we came here today, talk about the open and integrated stack. So before we go into the integration benefits, I'm going to take a little pause because it looks like we have a question, and this would probably be a good question for you to answer, Pierre. So with TimeMiner, can you do a report on a group of users?
Yeah, so I want to understand the question a little bit more, but I think when we show the demo, the group of users that you'll send the report on, will be the contacts that you actually add to the Time Miner app, which we will demonstrate. So we'll demonstrate it and see if that answers Robert's question. And if not, we'll just ask him to elaborate maybe a little bit. But I think the demo should answer that question for him.
Okay, yeah, great. So we'll divert till later, but I did take a look at the demo itself. Obviously, I'm very excited to have them showcase this. There's a lot of great value that you can get as an organization in looking into it. Before we talk about why time is money, I'm going to go over a little bit about the app ecosystem as a whole, right? So as I mentioned, for all the cloud enterprises, how do you connect those disparate apps? Well, I mean, the answer is you need to be open and operable, right? So 3 years ago, RingCentral launched our open developer platform, and it's been exploding ever since. It's really doubled every year. So we've got now over 1,000 certified apps and over 12,000 developers working on the platform itself. So for you as an organization, imagine expanding your IT's own developer team by 12,000 people, being able to use tools like Okta, eAgent, if you're in the insurance, Sumo Logic, Genesis, Zapier, to name a few. Obviously, Time Miner, they're on the call with us today. Being able to take all those mission critical applications that you as an organization utilize, or you as partners are trying to get to your customers to utilize to better communicate with their customers, is going to be very, very important, as it already is today. What do the integrations look like? Well, there's a lot of different things you can do with it. You can do integrations for fax, for collaboration through Glip. You can look at the call log, the Time Miners, the call log portion of that, right? DL assignment, conferencing, meetings, etc. So you can, do click to dial functionality if you're using a CRM or any kind of customer tools. You can also look at the integrations we have with social media if you're doing any kind of outreach that way through a customer service element. The sky's, really the limit, right? We're in the cloud, so join us there. Integration benefits as a partner and also as a customer. It's important to understand why this is important. So first and foremost, return on investment. Got to make sure you're getting your money back on it. Customer satisfaction. We want to always increase productivity and then also gain some performance insights. You can tweak and make the model that much stronger. Being able to increase your, return on investment as a customer, for you as a partner, for your customers, out-of-the-box integrations allow for scalable administration of managed staffing, reducing IT costs, setting up and controlling new locations and users. Also allows you to save time and money, to train end users and systems and products. So when evaluating tools like this, that's an important part, right? You're able to scale it, you're able to manage it easy, reduce the costs. These are the type of things that you need to be able to look at and use and justify, right? Customer satisfaction, or CX, customer experience, is a huge part of what industries and businesses have always done. But really, to differentiate themselves from now and into the future, it's going to be mission critical. So increasing customer satisfaction, you have instant access to vital contextual data. It enables your employees to deliver better service and engagement to customers and prospects. Allows you to enhance your key business applications with integrated communications, and solutions, so your employees have more time to deliver satisfied engagements. As you talked about earlier, there's 5 to 6 different apps that people are using on a daily basis. And so if you can put them all together on a single pane, if you have the access to kind of streamline that, it's going to give the customers themselves a better experience and therefore more likely to use you as a business. Increase productivity. Once again, every organization wants to do more with less, right? Be able to increase productivity for your business, but also for your employees, right? Give them the ability to work as freely and as efficiently as possible. So maybe they have some free time. So integrated advanced communication tools with applications for your employees that they use every day gamifies those workflows, increases productivity. Additionally, automation of critical tasks saves your users time and effort so they can focus more on their work and less on juggling the multiple standalone applications. Once again, going back to that app overload concept and working as one. And lastly, before we get into some of the facts and figures that I found, right, about how much money is being wasted by not utilizing tools like this, performance insights. So you can track your team's performance by creating customized reports and dashboards, gain insights on every call with real-time analytics, use real-time call logs to correlate call data between your sales and service metrics, to identify your most effective channels and perform trend analysis for forecasting. So if you see that more people are trying to get in touch with your customer service through, Twitter or Facebook, then you might want to divert assets and resources there. Or if you notice that your customers really want to text more than anything, like, you can start using those tools. So that's an additional way to leverage this technology itself. Take a brief pause real quick before going into the next one and see if there's any additional questions. And looks like we're good to go. So once again, if anybody has any questions, drop them in the chat. If anything comes to you after the fact, be sure to reach out to me. Always happy to have one-on-one conversations about this stuff. I really geek out on the integration portion because, I know how important it is as a business partner to be able to give your customers the tool that they need and desire, and to help them discover things that they don't know, right? Like, they don't know what they don't know. If you don't know that Time Miner exists, or if they don't know that they're leaking so much money by not properly recording their calls and logging them, you really start becoming a real ally to customers and your valuable business partners. So as I said, in preparing for this presentation, I did a little bit of research to find out, what exactly is the core problem? What's really going on, right? You can always assume that there is somewhat of an issue, but when you look at it a little bit deeply, you can kind of see how big it is. So according to a study in the USA, 19.3 million people in the professional services are leaking 59 million hours. If you take that at $150 an hour, which is pretty standard, pretty average, if you think about all the professional services, lawyers, interior designers, any kind of consultancy, right? Anybody that's billing for their time, that equates to $8.8 billion lost every single day. Given the sizes of the professional sector, this is costing the U.S. economy over 50 million hours, or $8 billion a day in lost productivity. If you're looking at capturing that lost time, and you look at like a pretty typical organization, we'll just say 15-person professional company, you could add another $1.4 million to your top line every year. I know I could stand to make $1.4 million every year if I could bill for my time. So I know that it's really important to utilize something like a Time Miner to do so. Furthermore, a 15-employee company is prone to losing 1.4. We talked about that in yearly revenue to lack of time tracking for email, meetings, and also just forgetfulness. So a couple of recommendations that I came across: automate. Having a person enter into a timesheet is dangerous. It opens you to tons of errors. People in the process makes things much more difficult. If you can simplify that, it's going to make things easier for everybody. And then taking the ability to link timesheets to key business systems. We already talked about how RingCentral integrates with a myriad of business critical apps. And in a minute, we'll see what Time Miner can do. Not tracking time is a very big problem for professional businesses, with over 38% of potential billable revenue lost and untracked. Time spent in emails, meetings, and delays, filling out timesheets. Businesses can address this issue and solve the problem itself, and they could stand to gain handsomely. You'd probably see about a 61% boost in revenue. So that's all I've got for you today. I'm going to hand it over to Pierce and team so they can show you what Time Miner has the ability to do. Once again, I do appreciate your time. If you have any questions, pop them in the chat box or in the Q&A. Pierce, take it away.
Thanks, Dante. Yeah, I love the way that Dante showed how much time is being lost out there, and it's a real problem. And forgive me if I default to using attorneys as the timekeepers, but that was a little bit of the genesis of how Time Miner came about. Is because obviously attorneys do bill for their time by the hour. Everyone knows that. But you have a myriad of consultants, you have accountants, you have all different types of people who bill for their time, and they bill for their time by the hour. And, in days of old, before we all became addicted to our smartphones, it was a little easier, right? These timekeepers might have just been sitting at their desk, and if they had a 20-minute phone call, they would mark it down that they had that 20-minute phone call. They would enter it into their time and billing, and off they go. But now the reality is there's so many different ways to correspond between professionals and their clients or customers. And that would include, of course, emails, texting, calls that are on a hard line or calls that are on your cell phone. And it's really evolved because now attorneys and these consultants, they are texting with their clients. And a lot of these folks don't know what to do with that because it is a little tough to track, especially when you're on the go. You might be walking down the street and get a text and respond to it. But if that's advice, then that's billable time. Same goes for emails and, of course, phone calls as well. And that's one of the attractive things about the integration with RingCentral and, of course, RingCentral's mobile app, because now these professionals, they're not real thrilled with having to give out their personal cell phone numbers, but the reality is their clients want to communicate with them, and so they do it. They give out their personal cell phones, and so now they're taking phone calls all the time, no matter where they are. They're texting with their clients, and then, of course, with the abilities that we have with smartphones, we can also email from our phones as well. So we're always on the go, but with RingCentral, you have one phone number that can follow you no matter where you are. So if you're sitting at your desk and the phone rings, it's coming to your RingCentral number. If you're forwarding those calls to the RingCentral mobile app, now you're getting those phone calls in the car, which is great. You're a little bit more accessible, but as some of you are probably aware, you can manage that with your do not disturb functions and things like that within the app. But with Time Miner, for those professionals who are billing for their time, now you don't have to actually stop what you're doing and record that time contemporaneously. Because if you're driving down the road and you have a 5-minute call with a client, that's billable time. But it's not always convenient to stop what you're doing, make a note that you had that 5-minute call, and then make sure that that note makes it into your time and billing software to make sure that you get that into a bill to the client and that you get paid for it. And so now with Time Miner, what we've developed is an application that allows you to go back, open up date parameters, and find all of your past billable calls, texts, and emails, and then pull that forward into a report that will sort everything for you by client, by date, by the type of correspondence, and also how much that correspondence is worth. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to share my screen with you. Dante, let's make sure we can do this. Let's see. Okay, and hopefully everybody can see my screen. All right, great. Okay, so what you're looking at here on my screen, this is actually a screen share of my smartphone. So this is my iPhone, and this is the Time Miner home screen. So what you're looking at now, these are actual contacts that I've added to the Time Miner app. So you're not going to want to keep track of your time on the phone with your spouse or your family and friends. You don't care about that because you're not billing them by the hour, hopefully. But when you have a client that you're actively working with and actually billing, you'll want to add them to the Time Miner app. And it's very easy to do. If you look at the plus sign in the bottom right-hand corner of the screen and I hit that, if I hit that top button that has 2 people there, that'll actually go into my contacts. And I can select as many contacts as I want, and then that will add them to the Time Miner app. But if it's a new contact and I don't happen to have them in my phone yet, I can also add them manually. So all I have to do is have their name, their mobile number, the email address, my hourly rate, which is a default that I set up in my profile. I'll show that to you in a second. You can also select a matter if you want to tie it to a certain matter. But that'll take me to the profile page. So let's take a look at that real quick. When I set up Time Miner, of course, I'm going to put in my personal information, my name, my mobile number, my email address, my hourly rate, and then also we have incremental charges on here. Attorneys and a lot of professionals, they bill in tenths of an hour or a quarter of an hour, and the default is tenths of an hour. Another important tab that's in the menu here is our Services tab. And these are the current integrations that Time Miner has. RingCentral, of course, is a very important integration because those professionals that have RingCentral and they're using their RingCentral phone number in the app to talk and text with their clients, we want access to that information. We also have Clio, which is a time and billing system. We have Outlook, obviously an extremely popular email option, and then we have Gmail. So I have RingCentral and Gmail hooked up right now, and what you'll do when you check one of these boxes, it's going to ask you for your credentials to those services. So if I click the RingCentral box, it's going to ask me for my RingCentral username and login. And if I enter that, then it's going to ask for permission for Time Miner to access that information, which of course you'll want to give. So let's go back to the home page. And again, we're looking at all of the context that I've added. And so Time Miner is not something that you would necessarily have to use every day or even every week. It would depend on how often you want to do your billing. But a lot of attorneys, they do their billing every month. So if I want to take a look at what my billing was, we're in early June now. So let's say if we want to look at my billing for the month of May, if you can see the Mine Now button in the upper right-hand corner of the screen, I will select my start date. I'm going to put that to May 1st. And my end date would be May 31st. And then I would hit the Mine Now button in the bottom right-hand corner of the screen. So you're going to see how fast this works. As soon as I hit that button, you can see that Time Miner is fetching all of that information. And there, I have all of my information for the month of May for those clients. If I click on a specific client, we'll click on Catherine Griffin, for example. I can see that I had 22 minutes and 39 seconds of talk time. I had 7 text messages, and I had 2 emails. So it's a great quick snapshot for that particular client. And I can do that for anybody on here. And you can see here for this particular client, I had 33 minutes and 35 seconds. I had 27 text messages and 146 emails. So that's a quick snapshot there of all of my clients for the month of May. But I can also do that by individual clients. So if I want to click on an individual client and just see the same date parameters, I'll pull May 1st. And I'll pull May 31st as my end date. And I'll hit Mine Now in the bottom right-hand corner of the screen. And you'll see at the top there where I have call, message, and email, there's details of the calls, of when it happened, the duration of those calls, there's text messages, and there's emails. So Time Miner is quickly pulling all of that information. And if you think about the way that attorneys or accountants or consultants are doing this now, they might be going back through their phone bill and they're searching for their client's phone number and they're recording things that way. Or maybe they're having to keep track of it as they go. Or maybe at the end of the day, they're scrolling back through their sent items in their emails or their inbox, their email, and they're counting all of these things. Well, instead of having to do that, you just saw how easy it was to pull a whole month's worth of data from my RingCentral and my Gmail account. So very powerful, very quick. And I'll pause real quick just to see if there's any questions. And Dante, keep me honest here because I've got, I'm sharing my whole screen. I can't see the chat column there. Can you, does anybody have any?
Worries. No additional questions, just still Robert's question about tracking team's performance. So I know that this is like an individual basis. I think he's asking if there's like some kind of admin overhead where they can see everybody's.
Yep, that's a great question. And so that's actually something that we're working on right now with our desktop solution, because right now this is a mobile app, but we are converting into a desktop solution as well. And we're going to have an admin capability there. So yes, to answer his question. So
great.
All right. Okay, so I'm going to give you guys a quick look too at what is my favorite feature of this. And if you talk to any of our customers that are using it now, let's go ahead and I'm going to hit that Mine Now button again in the upper right-hand corner. And again, May is easy to do because it's a month just happened. But let's take a look at May 1st to May 31st. I'm going to pull the data again, Mine Now. And I've got this for all of my clients that are currently active in Time Miner. And then can everybody see the paper airplane in the upper right-hand corner?
Yeah.
You guys see that? Okay, cool. So I will hit the paper airplane in the upper right-hand corner. And what that's going to do is it's going to send a very detailed, granular report of all of this correspondence. And it's going to sort everything for me so that it's very easy to add to a bill. We even have folks that are using the Time Miner report as their bill to their clients. So I'm going to hit OK. And right now I'm getting a notification that Time Miner is going to notify me once that report is generated and sent to my reporting email address. So I hit OK. Any second now I should have a notification come up that report was sent. And then what I'm going to do, guys, is I'm going to take you into a view of my Gmail. So there's my Gmail account. And I'll pull back up the Time Miner notification comes up there. Actually, it just disappeared from my phone. I was going to show you guys. But you can see how quickly that report popped in. So this is kind of cool. It gives me a quick look, and it says, hey, you mined $9,240 in billable time for the month of May. So what I'm going to do now, I have the report that comes in either a PDF or an Excel spreadsheet. So let's open up the PDF. And again, here's the details sorted by client, by the type of correspondence. The date is there, of course. So for this particular client, I can see that I had 3 phone calls. I can see the date. I have whether it was incoming or outgoing. I have the duration of the phone call, what billing increment that falls into, and then the dollar value of that correspondence based against my $300 an hour hourly rate. So there's my call details, same thing for text message details, and same thing for emails. And so this is a report showing all of my correspondence with all of my clients for a given set date parameters, and all of that added up for me. So the report is easily the most valuable tool when it comes to TimeMiner because, again, we're going back and we're finding all of this communication that happened in the past, and we're pulling it forward and putting it in a nice, neat report for you. So the next thing I want to show you real quick, and this is powerful because I think we probably have a mix of potential end users and also resellers of RingCentral on the call. So TimeMiner can be a big differentiator for you, especially if you're a reseller and you're in a competitive situation and you're trying to earn the business of a firm or some type of business that has employees that bill for their time by the hour. So I'm going to blow up this revenue calculator here, and this is just something we put together quickly, but it's very powerful because let's say that we have a number of timekeepers here. I'm going to, for round numbers sake, I'm going to punch in 10 here. So if we have 10 timekeepers, and on average, those 10 timekeepers bill for their time at $300 an hour, and let's just say that those timekeepers, on average, they lose about 1 hour per week per timekeeper. Okay, so these are firm numbers. You can also do these for an individual as well. But if I do the math on this, that's $3,000 a week of lost revenue. It's a lot of money, but if you take that over the course of a month, it's $13,000. That's even more money. And if you take that number over the course of a year, it's $156,000 of annual lost revenue. That's a big number. And when we show these numbers to firms, they can all relate because they know that they're losing time because humans are not perfect at keeping up with time. And they think, well, you know what, we could do a lot with $156,000 a year. We could throw a heck of a Christmas party for sure if we wanted to. But nonetheless, if we compare that to the cost of TimeMiner, TimeMiner costs $12.99 per month per user. So if we take that times 10 users, that's only about $130 per month. And if you take that over the course of a year, it's a little over $1,500 per year to pay for TimeMiner for your firm, with the potential, if we're losing an hour per week per timekeeper, so it's a little over $1,500 to find $156,000 of lost revenue. So pretty powerful numbers, very compelling, and you know, I hate to say no-brainer for anything, but we've had our customers say that to us. Hey, this is a no-brainer. So that's some quick numbers there, and you can play with these as much as you like. You know, if you wanted to put in one just to see what it would be for yourself, or if you have a large firm of 100 people, but still something very powerful. So that's the TimeMiner demo. Little demo showing the revenue calculator as well. So I think we may have a question here. Let's see, Dante, what's the question there?
It's just Sean acknowledging that Ben here is on the meeting. You must know each other.
Okay, gotcha. Great. Okay. So as you can see, if you're somebody that bills for your time by the hour, this is a great tool that works wonderfully in conjunction with RingCentral's call and text capabilities. If you're a reseller of RingCentral and you have potential customers that could benefit from this, we'd love to speak with you. But that's the demo. It's pretty quick and straightforward, and we're very excited to show it to you today. So thanks so much.
Thank you, Pierce, for sharing some time with us. I know that you're getting ready to hustle out of Austin, Texas, and get back home. So I do appreciate you being able to make this work in the time frame for all the customers and partners here on the line. To the customers and partners that have joined here today, you know I absolutely value the partnership and the time that you spend here with me. I know it's very valuable as we went over in great detail here. Time is money. And so once again, thank you from the bottom of my heart for joining us here today and continuing to follow and subscribe. If anybody has any questions, post this, please email me, dante.white@ringcentral.com. You can also call, text, or fax me at my number, 720-523-0664. Everybody have a great day, and we will chat soon. Thanks. Bye.